Hello there, subjects of the Empire. This is Eye on the Empire, where we review old Republic Hall transmissions once thought lost in time, intercepted and decoded by our agents from the Imperial Security Bureau. Once again, I'm not the usual Imperial giving this report. And once more, we're talking about the Acolyte. And no, this new video isn't new audio that's been combined with pre-existing video. Today's report is news about the Acolyte, and other Star Wars series on Disney+. It's being reported that there will be no second season of the Acolyte. Am I surprised? No. Am I glad? No, not really. As I said in the review for the last episode, this said most of Disney Star Wars shows will start off with a good idea that they fail to execute for one reason or another. In the case of the Acolytes, there were some interesting concepts, a few good scenes, but the writing that takes us from point A to B just didn't make sense. Why are these characters so incredibly stupid right now? Because if they were using half of their brains, they wouldn't be getting into these terrible situations that the writers want them to get into. Plus, you add those easy to ridicule scenes like that witch's ceremony. As I said in my previous review, wasn't there somebody able to speak up and tell them we need to rewrite and reshoot these scenes? How is it that the average viewer can notice such flaws, but nobody working on these shows can? Maybe some of them do see the same problems, but none of them have the guts to say anything about it. You never know who you might offend if you tell them their stuff doesn't work. People like to keep their jobs. Star Wars is also controlled by Disney, a massive for-profit corporation, where creative decisions are ultimately in the hands of those good with numbers. Why was the third season of The Mandalorian such a disappointment compared to the first two seasons? Viewers responded well to the Mando and Baby Yoda pairing. We have to get them back together as soon as possible. It doesn't matter if doing it too quickly ruins any potential better story of them being apart. Our data shows that we need to get them together now. Neither character had any real emotional purpose or any meaningful personal goal to carry them through the season. Now they're making a Mando movie for the big hall screen. What's the point? To see Mando and Baby Yoda dancing around on the big screen? Sorry, that's not good enough for me. Those characters already accomplished their goals. I'll just wait to watch it on Disney+. And don't forget what they did to poor Boba Fett. They brought a fan-favorite villain back to life only to castrate him. That character's actor shared at a convention that this show's reception does seem to have impact on the future of the character in the franchise. Even the actor doesn't know if there's going to be a season 2 of the Book of Boba Fett. Come on, Disney. At the end of Mando season 2, you tease about Boba Fett is going to be a ruthless crime lord, only to have him become a pushover in his actual show. Why? Because they wanted to make him a good guy. They could have made him a villain with some redeeming qualities, but no. I guess kids might be watching. You can't have a main character do bad things on a Disney show. The Acolyte, The Mandalorian Season 3, The Book of Boba Fett, and others. They all had potential, and they just tossed it away. Personally, I blame this on them trying to sell a product over trying to tell a good story. How do we present these shows in a way that makes the audience resubscribe to watch the next series and buy more merchandise? Good for business, terrible for the story. Now back to the Acolyte. This show had strikes against it before the first episode even aired. There's an element of fandom predisposed to disliking shows like it because it promoted the diversity of its cast and crew, particularly the queer creators behind and in front of the camera. These fans will be the first to cry that show is bad because of the woke agenda or some other bigoted nonsense. Fact is, these shows would have been bad even with the traditional white male protagonist. Blaming it on diversity, sadly, might result in the executives listening to these bigots and giving few opportunities to diverse creators, which I guess is their goal. I, for one, am interested in seeing what different voices can bring to Star Wars. Would I have liked to see a season 2 of The Acolyte? No, not at least in the form we were getting. This show needed a massive overhaul. I can't think of any specific examples, but you remember when shows of the past, when they got stale and struggling, they would end one season and the next season they would come back in a new place and setting, like our show about gritty big city cops. In season 2, they've now retired and are running a bed and breakfast in a quirky small town for season 3. Some characters would take a back seat or even disappear entirely, and new killers might even take over. I don't know if the Acolyte showrunner would have been open to that. Clearly, they were proud of their baby, and they had plans in mind for season 2. Would they have been willing to burn everything down so it could be rebuilt for a second season? It would have focused too much on trying to make Green Lady the real hero of the story. I know I said this show needed an overhaul. Making Green Lady the focus of the show wouldn't have been such a drastic change, but that character is beyond redemption. I'm not a big fan when writers take a dislikable, shady character who does a bunch of questionable things, but then later reveal that this distrustworthy person was secretly the real hero all along. Everything they did was justified. I'm looking at you, Admiral Holdo. We need a foil for Poe, someone who acts dismissive and secretive to one of our main characters. Maybe give people the idea that she could be endangering all their lives. And once the audience is all behind our hero, we'll show them that this horrible character was actually a hero, doing everything for everyone's best interests. I just hate it when writers do that, especially when there's no good reason for such characters to be shady. Why not have that shady character pull the lead character to the side and let them in on the plan? No, they just gotta be shady. I didn't like this when they did it with Holdo, and I know I wouldn't have liked it when they did this with Green Lady too. I want to give the actors some credit. If their job was to make us dislike and distrust this character, she did a really good job. And remember those lightsaber whips on Sith Guy's back? No good guy Jedi would strike a foe from behind. Ultimately, I think they're rushing these shows too fast to the market. Their Disney Plus service is, 4 years old? And there's already 8 seasons of television with 2 more on the way. Most of these shows lean on the side of not being very good. Think of how much better they would have been if Disney limited things to just 1 series per year. Yes, we would have to wait even longer for new Star Wars, but if these shows were given more time, they could have made something really good. I think I've rambled on long enough.